Sometimes a movie might just be about a big shark that wants to eat people and the people who want to kill that shark. But I think if that's all Jaws was about, I wouldn't find this movie so compelling. I believe there's much more to this story, and so much of it reminds me of the Bible in ways that most people wouldn't expect. At the risk of overanalyzing Jaws, let's just get right into it. In some sense, Jaws is a modern retelling of the ancient dragon myth that I've told and retold numerous times on this channel. A dragon comes to harass a town by taking its money and killing its people. But the heroic knight, St. George, comes and slays the dragon to save the princess and the town, and in doing so models Jesus Christ coming to defeat Satan and save the church. At the beginning of the movie, the shark in Jaws claims its first victim, and fittingly, it's a young woman, symbolic of the princess in our dragon story. Immediately, this alerts the police chief Brody to the problem they have, and he resolves to close down the beach until they can kill the shark. All it takes for him is this one death, and he knows something must be done about the shark immediately. The mayor and townspeople, however, refuse to allow the beach to get closed down because it's the 4th of July weekend, and they don't want to lose any money. This annual event brings in a lot of people and a lot of tourism. A closed beach would bring bad publicity to the town, and the tourists would just go elsewhere, harming the town's opportunities. So like a dragon stealing the town's gold, this shark is financially harming the town's tourism. But that's not the worst part, obviously. The shark has already claimed a life, but now only greed is keeping these waters open, and the mayor is the most greedy of them all. And he said to them, "Take heed and beware of covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of the things he possesses." Luke 12:15. "Let your conduct be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have. For he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you." Hebrews 13:5. "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil, for which some have strayed from the faith in their greediness and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." 1 Timothy 6:10. Piercing themselves through with many sorrows is exactly what happens in this town. The mayor is the one who really pushes to keep the beach open for the 4th of July. Biblically, he should be content with what he has and should place human lives above all else as his priority. Especially as the mayor, he's supposed to represent the people and their safety above their economic circumstances. But he doesn't, and of course, this greed comes with biblical consequences. The shark claims another life, and this time it's of a small child. By this point, the town is fed up with the shark, and they all set out to kill it. Even the mayor eventually realizes the error of his ways when a shark scare makes him feel guilty for putting his own family in danger. This really shows his selfishness. It's like he didn't think the shark was that big of a deal until it nearly threatened his own family and until the mother of the child confronted him. The death of this one kid is what helps everyone to realize this problem has gone too far and must be addressed. Whoever receives one little child like this in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Matthew 18:5 and 6. So now finally the town takes the prospect of hunting the shark seriously. The first search parties that go out to get the shark don't actually come back with the right shark. They just killed a random shark, but they're satisfied with just saying that it's the right shark for the press. Chief Brody and Hooper know this for sure because Hooper is a researcher from the Oceanographic Institute. He can see very clearly that this shark doesn't match up with the one that attacked the victims. So they know that they're going to have to be the ones to go out and kill the shark themselves, and they know exactly who to call. An experienced shark hunter named Captain Quint already offered his boat and his services earlier in the movie, so they'll have to get in contact with him to charter his boat. The three of these heroes, Police Chief Brody, Hooper, and Quint, all resolve to take the boat out to find and kill this great white dragon. These three heroes set out on what feels like an ancient quest to go and slay the dragon and save the town. Again, in doing this, it's kind of like they're all mirroring the story of St. George, or even Jesus Christ for that matter. But all three of these men come from very different backgrounds and have very different motivations for this adventure. Hooper, for instance, is a researcher. He's a man of science and he has respect for sharks and ocean life. I think he's the most fearless out of all of these guys. The movie never really shows even a moment where he's afraid, and he also gets into a shark cage at one point to be in the water with the monster. But one thing I respect a lot about Hooper is that even though he's fascinated by sharks and he sees them from a more scientific view, he still knows they are a major threat and that this monster needs to be killed. At one point in the movie, Quint and Hooper are comparing their battle scars and injuries that they've gotten out at sea, and Hooper shows all the times that he was struck by various sea creatures. From experience, he knows the ocean is dangerous. He knows the danger with this shark from an intellectual perspective better than anyone. I respect that, and I find it refreshing because in a lot of modern movies, they usually make the scientists or the researchers nerdy people who always want to save the monsters. I just recently watched Godzilla King of the Monsters, and one of the most frustrating parts of the movie was these nerds who somehow think that Godzilla and his monster buddies are like ancient gods who need to be protected at all costs, instead of blown to smithereens by nukes, like any normal person would think. The Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies can be like this too. There's usually some idiot character who wants to protect the dinosaurs at all costs because they think they're beautiful creatures and not abominations. And so that's one of the reasons I like Hooper. If this movie had come out in 2026, they would have made him insufferable. But luckily this movie was made in 1975, so even nerdy scientist types like him can be brave heroes. He loves and respects the ocean, but at the same time knows that it's dangerous and knows that monsters need to be killed to protect people. I also really like the police chief Brody, but for different reasons. What makes Brody interesting is that he has a fear of water and going out to sea. He's not fearless like Hooper or Quint. This guy is deathly afraid of going out on boats or going out to the sea in general. As a kid, he experienced nearly drowning, and it gave him a lifelong fear of water. To me, that makes Brody even more of a brave hero than Quint or Hooper. He knows that he has an important job to do. The shark must be killed no matter what. So for that reason, he just musters up the bravery and courage to just go out and do what must be done. That's a real hero. It's not about being unafraid, but about confronting that fear and pushing through anyway to do the job. And the fact that Chief Brody delivers the final death blow to the shark at the end of the movie makes the ending even more satisfying. With the boat having sunk by the end, Hooper and Brody have to swim back home, and Brody makes a comment about how silly it is that he used to be afraid of the water. It's like he's finally conquered his fear by the end because he had to confront it and kill it. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. Captain Quint is what I would consider to be a tragic hero. In many ancient stories, even good guys are sometimes met with a tragic ending in order to teach us a lesson, and that's Quint. He's clearly a good guy who's on the same quest as the other heroes to slay the monster and to do the right thing. But he's a regular shark hunter. This is what he goes out and does all the time. And partway through the movie, he reveals why he does this, and it's really just sad. He served aboard a ship during World War II, but a Japanese submarine sank the ship and left 1,100 crewmen to float in the water for 7 days. They drifted at sea for days while the sharks preyed on them. Eventually they were rescued, and Quint was of course rescued along with them, but there were only 316 men who survived. So for 7 days, he witnessed over 700 men getting eaten by sharks. After the war, Quint decided to make shark hunting his life's purpose. I don't blame him. That's a horrifying story, and I think if I were in his shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. But the problem with his motivations is that he's forever living in the past and living to get revenge on sharks. The Bible reminds us to not live in the past, but rather to look forward to what God will do in the future. Do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Isaiah 43:18 and 19. Even though Captain Quint meets an unfortunate end in this movie when he gets eaten by the shark, I think it's a fitting end for his character. Again, he's a tragic hero, and he kind of had it coming. He lived his whole life looking back in the past instead of moving forward. He lived his whole life motivated by getting revenge on sharks for what happened to him, and for that, he meets a tragic end. I think this movie is implicitly teaching us a lesson about the importance of moving forward and looking to the future instead of looking back. It's also teaching us a lesson about revenge and how revenge as a motivation eats us up inside. Beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath. For it is written, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay," says the Lord. Romans 12:19. Vengeance is ultimately for God and God alone. He will eventually one day right all wrongs, and we should be looking forward to that future. So what happens to Captain Quint is what could happen to anyone who lives in the past so much that they forget to live in the present. This section of the video might feel kind of vague because it's going to be kind of hard for me to explain. One of the things I love about Jaws is how much it focuses on the chaos of the sea. There's an implicit message in this movie about just how wild and chaotic the ocean can be and how ultimately helpless and powerless we are as humans. Once again, it feels biblical. Let's start with the shark. I already talked about how the shark in this story is like a dragon or a monster. The way it claims innocent life and threatens the town's safety certainly lets it fit symbolically with ancient dragon stories, but there's something else going on with this shark. The way the shark is seemingly indestructible for so much of the movie, and the way it hunts people is just not normal. Now, I know this is just a movie and a fictional story. I already said at the beginning of this video that we'd probably be overanalyzing Jaws. But let's be honest. There isn't a single shark on the planet that would survive getting shot multiple times and would keep hunting and going after people this relentlessly. I'm not a shark expert, but I thought that usually sharks only attack when they're hungry, and that if they were ever attacked back, they would probably just give up and leave. This shark is like a demonic threat. It's so bent on killing these three guys that it eats up their ship and causes it to sink. Even after the shark has already eaten Captain Quint, you would think it would be satisfied. But no, it still keeps trying to go after Hooper and Chief Brody, who's on the boat. There's no way a normal shark would behave like this. This is a demonic movie monster, and it honestly reminds me of the Leviathan from the Bible. The Bible actually names a mysterious monster of the sea known as Leviathan. In Isaiah 27, it's prophesied that a day will one day come when the Lord will slay Leviathan. He's described as a twisted sea serpent, but one day he'll be destroyed. This makes you wonder if Leviathan is somehow a shadow of Satan or symbolic of Satan in some way. The psalmist who wrote Psalm 104 actually praises God for his creation of the sea and sovereignty over its living things. This great and wide sea, in which are innumerable teeming things, living things both small and great, there the ships sail about. There is that Leviathan, which you have made to play there. Psalm 104, 25 and 26. And Job 41 probably gives the longest and most clear description of Leviathan. Even though this creature is kind of a biblical mystery and people today still debate over what it really is, it's undeniable what it means. It represents the chaos and power of the ocean. In the context of Job 41, God is reminding Job that he is sovereign over all. As humans, we are totally helpless and powerless. We're small and insignificant compared to the power of the sea and its monsters. We need God. Only He has power over the oceans, and He can bestow that to us if He wants to. Jesus shows us this clearly on two occasions. On one occasion, when Jesus was out at sea with His disciples, a great storm scared everyone, but Jesus quieted and calmed the storm, showing His power over both sky and sea. On another occasion, Jesus literally walked out on the water. Symbolically, He was trampling Leviathan under His feet, and once again demonstrating His power over the sea. That's why I think the ending of Jaws is so powerful. Unfortunately, there was no surrender to God or acknowledgement of His power. Captain Brody finally defeats the shark himself with his own power and might, but he could only do that by fully overcoming his fear of the water, and it didn't come without serious loss. Again, Captain Quint was eaten by the shark, and the whole ship ended up sinking. This ending just reminds me of our powerlessness and helplessness. I truly believe the only reason Brody was successful in killing the shark is because God allowed him to. In the end, we're all able to learn lessons from this movie about greed, protecting the innocent, living for the future instead of living for the past, giving God His time and place for vengeance, and ultimately surrendering and relying on Him. If you like this video, please hit that like button and leave a comment letting me know what you think. Am I missing something? And what would you like to see us cover next? If you'd like to help us keep making content like this, exploring the deep, often overlooked Christian truth and popular entertainment, consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. Thanks Thanks for watching.